just something we're trying to do to reach outside the walls. Nehemiah has become a theme recently in my personal life, and it's going to be ours in the church as well, in church life. And we're going to do different things, much like pitching. This is Jeff. Now, I'm not sure what that's on his chest. What is that? Which one is that one?
I don't know that.
You don't know that one, Jordan? Okay. But that is also a pokey that was taken Wednesday night. For those of you who couldn't be with us, we had 3 hot dogs and we dropped some lures so people could come around and play Pokemon and have a good time. And we sat out here in the front lawn and it was a little bit warm, but it really wasn't too bad. We had a good time and chatted and talked for the evening. And we're going to be doing more of those kind of things. Last week in the sermon, you heard me say that we need to find our neighborhood and pray for our block. This is part of my block. It's the back side of the school up here. That does not mean I'm only going to pray for those people that go to the back side of the school. It means I'm going to pray for the school, the teachers, the children are there, everything that happens there, all of the activities, all of the learning that happens there. And if you go to the next couple of slides, this is across from the school. That's across from the school. And that's my, not this, but those two things that's my block that I pray for. Harold told me this morning that he took my sermon to heart and he went down to the square and he prayed himself around the square. And every time he went across the street, he stopped and he prayed. That he went in and talked to some of the business people and said, "We want you to know that we're praying for you." Now, this is not just an effort to fill empty seats. Empty seats mean empty souls. And the empty soul is what we're really after. All right? One of the things, too, is we get these plans and things going into effect. And I saw this and it reminded me of some things I have done in the past. I started trying to fix all the problems by myself. Notice the words self, myself. And God said, well, if you just stay out of my business and stay out of the road,
man,
I can take care of it. All right, I need you to go to Nehemiah chapter 1. We very quickly preached through the entire book of Nehemiah last week. We're going to tear it apart a little bit this morning. In the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the citadel of Susa, Ananiah, one of my brothers, came from Judah with some other men, and I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that survived the exile there, and also about the city of Jerusalem. And they said to me that those who have survived the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and in great disgrace. For the wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. And when I heard these things, I sat down and wept. For some days I mourned, and I fasted, and I prayed before the God of heaven. And then I said. Now, we're not going to go any farther than that this morning, but let me ask, how many of you read Nehemiah this week? Okay, if you're lying, only God knows. But I am glad to see that, because we're going to be there for a while. Once again, I'm not giving you any excuse to not do it. If you're spending time with God, then I'm asking you as your pastor to spend time in Nehemiah and make that book personal. It's an incredible book. It's a book written about Nehemiah, who is not a pastor. Nehemiah is not some evangelist or song evangelist. He's not someone who has been to school to teach. His claim to fame is, thank you, let me taste that wine before the king gets it. If he doesn't start foaming at the mouth and die, then he has done his job, and he gives the wine to the king. That's his claim to fame. He really, in reality, he is no one special. So therefore, the point in telling you that is we have no excuse not to do something for Jesus. I'm just a teacher. I'm retired. I'm older than retired. man would be here? Little Miss Hannah asked her. So you can't tell me that you're either too young or you're too old to do something for Jesus. We're talking about rebuilding walls here. Last week we talked about tearing them down. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of that this morning in the moment meeting. But first I want to go through this with you quickly. In the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, in the castle, in the palace of the king, one of my brothers, Hananiah, had spent some time in Judah. We don't know why. And here's the thing, I don't know why Nehemiah would care about Judah or about Jerusalem. He'd never been there. The walls had been burned down and torn down approximately 140 years ago. Approximately 140 years ago, the nation of Israel had been taken into captivity, the best of the best, you know, the craftsmen, those who had money, those who had education. They all went, the really good farmers, the one who had lots of cattle and stuff, they all went into captivity. And the poor and the dregs of society were left there because Syrians just did not care. They're just a rabble. They've got no education. They can't do anything for us. So we're going to leave them there. And 140 years later, there's been two times now that people have left Babylon and gone back. And Nehemiah will be the third time that people go back. But I want you to understand there's almost nobody there. Certainly nobody there Nehemiah knows. You know, I don't know how his brother was there. He apparently went on a trip, merchant trip or something, but he came back. There's no reason for him to care about these people. But isn't it something that when his brother told him these people have a heavy load, they're in deep shame. The walls are still completely down. The gates of the city are burned, and people can attack them from every side. Isn't it something that for a people he had never met, he sat down on his floor and wept and mourned and prayed and fasted? It's the same situation for us. If we're truly going to look at the book of Nehemiah, and if we're going to say we're going to restore the walls, and we say we're going to clean up the mess, because you have to clean up the foundation, you have to square it up, you have to smooth it off before you can begin to rebuild. If we can do all that stuff here, but do we care enough about those people over there that we don't know? Do we care enough about the kids that we beside in school, and, you know, the ones that may pick on you, or the ones that you may pick on all the time? Or do you care enough about your next door neighbor to weep and to mourn? Pastor, it's hard. I'll tell you about my night last night. It was crap doing up. I decided to go for a pokey walk. Hadn't done that yet, but I was told that if you walk, you get a lot more pokies falling out of the sky somehow. And I thought, well, I'm going to give this a shot. First thing I learned was that I cannot watch my phone and walk because I trip a lot. That was the first thing I learned. And the second thing I learned was that they make a certain sound and the phone vibrates whenever there's one that I can catch. I was thinking. But I had kind of gone around the square, and I was coming up and back around my block. And there's a gentleman sitting in his garage eating ice cream. And I thought, you know what? There's a perfect opportunity. I don't know that. I can't. This morning, I couldn't. When I was telling those trees last night, no clue what the guy's name is. He told me, but I don't know. He was a young black man, and he had a big, it was a big bowl of vanilla ice cream. And you know what? The only thing I did was ask him, hey, you know, man, it's hot. Can we share some of that? Yeah. What about ice cream? go somewhere else. I said, sorry, I'm not a pastor in that church. I just, you know, we teach sharing. Can I have just a little bit? Man, go throughout my street. And we talked and we goofed around, had a good time for a little bit. And I walked down the street, and Teresa and I have been wondering about where to get those, it's not the, what is it? The policeman signs? I'm with blue.
I back the blue. I back the
I
blue.
back blue, or we back blue, okay. And if you want some of those signs, I found that you can get a holder for it, and they give them away free, all right?
Okay.
I'd like to see them in everybody's front yard. That's a side rabbit trail, so we won't go there. But I went up, and he was out in his yard with his wife, and they were trying to set the sprinklers, and she was getting wet on one end because he's smart enough to be in the garage, and he'd turn the water on. That's a pretty good thing. Anyway, so I just went up to ask him about the signs. Where can I get one of those? And he told me, and we talked very briefly. I bet it wasn't 10 cents each. And told him who I was, shook his hand, said, thank you very much, and went on down the street. Well, I got about 3 houses down. Oh, this loud crack. And a tree limb fell. Big tree limb. Just snapped and fell down right on the corner of his house. And, you know, of course, he was out in his front yard. He'd come running. And the black young man from down the street, he'd come running up the street. Everybody's coming out of the house all around. Out the front door of his house comes a guy still pulling up his pants. And they were shorts, you know. And shortly after him, he comes out. Here comes his wife. And well, she's dressed inappropriately because she just got out of shower, you know. But they were terrified because guess what? First night in their house, and the limb fell on the house. The good part of it is it only smashed the gutter, right? Did no harm to the shingles, nothing else to smash the gutter. But you know what happened when they both got outside and they were, you know, were all standing out there looking at this, talking about how different things. The wind blew. The door shut. And it's locked.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, no.
So I spent about a half an hour with them, and we tried. This guy's like to break into somebody's house. He doesn't even know whose house it was. And I tried to help him break into this house. We tried everything we could think of. And he said, well, my dad lives a good 30 minutes away, but I'll call him because they have a key. And he called Dad. Dad said, oh, son, I'm so sorry. When we finished helping you unpack today, Mom left your key on the counter in the kitchen. So we continued to talk, and as we worked our way around the house, him and me and another guy, and we're trying everything we could think of to jimmy up in between the doors, or jimmy the windows open, or whatever. The only next thing he could do is call locksmith. Boy, they're expensive. And one of the neighbors goes, oh, how about if I go over and get neighbors, Smith, whoever it was, next door, and because he used to take care of their house when they were away. Maybe he'll have a key. So he went over to get him, and here's this poor girl, and she's just apologizing to everybody, and she's kind of going up because they just gotten out of the shower and they fell on the roof, so they both panicked, you know, that kind of scenario. And she's embarrassed, and he's embarrassed because he's just in his shorts, no shoes, and he's going through the yard, and he keeps getting burrs in his feet. I felt bad. Short story is, he had to call a locksmith. The good part of it was, he said, guess I know my house can't get broken into. But I tell you those stories to tell you this. If I could do that, I know all y'all can do that. Just walk down the street, walk around by your neighbor, somebody sitting in the yard, wave at, say, hey, how you doing? And that's all the question you normally have to ask, because people then say, hey, I'm doing great, or fine, how are you? Open door. Nehemiah cared enough for people he had never met. I want to give you the Hebrew word of wept and the Hebrew word for more. They put those two different words in there interchangeably in reality in the English language. But here's what it really means. That's what they do when they weep and mourn. It shows great distress. It's not a thing of us, you know. I make Gary mad. He hits me and I cry. He wept. No, that's not it. He was broken hearted. He was in mourning as if he had heard someone die. For people Nehemiah. He mourned and he wept. And then he fasted. And I have talked to you before about fasting, and I know that some of you cannot do fasting in the food sense. Some of you are diabetic and those kind of things and pills, so you can't go to a complete fast. But if you really care, you will. If you really care for those people you don't know, if you really want God to move in their life and give you the opportunity to make a difference, fast. Say, look, I'm serious. Somewhere around 4 months between the beginning of this and when he goes to see the king. I'm not saying he fasted every day for 40 days. But he fasted an awful lot in those 40 days. Even if he fasted every other day. Can you imagine? Are you willing to do that? I guess most of us are hard pressed to fast one whole meal. It used to be easy for me to fast, and anymore, my wife got me hooked on this thing called ice cream. Anybody know about that? I mean, it's a wonderful thing, and I could sit in my chair and eat a whole quart of it, and then I can't get enough of it. And potato chips are great to go with that because, you know, the sweet and the salt and all that kind of stuff. So I finished the ice cream, and then Miss Sheila was laughing back there. She, you know, there's no wonder I can't get pants. But it's this thing of, you know, it's hard for me to do this thing. I found this love for food. Not good for me. Not the green stuff. I need a love for food. Do you love others enough to fast for somebody else's soul that you don't know? Okay, let me put it to you this way. I want you to see the end results of his fast. I'm going to jump way ahead of the next week's sermon, and maybe I'll bring it back to you then. But when he goes to the king, do you realize how incredible it is that he went before the king, and nobody's allowed to be sad in front of the king because the king only likes happy people. So even if you were sad, you went in going, "Feeling good." Because if you didn't, you were going out the chopping block, off goes the head, you're done, doesn't matter the reason. And somehow something changed in the king's mind, in the king's heart. Nehemiah walked in, the king says, "You look sad." Nehemiah goes, "Oh man, I'm coming home." Instead, he was bold and he said, "Well, Lord, here we go." And the king gave him lumber, the king gave him safe passage, the king gave him quarry, the king gave him protection to get there. It was amazing the king didn't kill him, let alone do the other things. Had he not fasted and prayed, that had never happened. I believe that very firmly in my heart. Do you love? Think of your own personal loved ones that don't know Jesus. Do you love them enough to fast? Do you mourn for their hearts? And when I say mourn, I mean it tugs, it pulls. When you say your prayers, you can't get out of your prayer without praying for that loved one whose soul you know is inappropriate, that you know they're not living a life for Christ. You know that if they'd be called home today, you're not judging, you just know they're going to hell because of their lifestyle. Does your heart break? Do you cry for your own family? And if you do for them, the people out there have the same DNA. They're family. Do you love them enough that your heart breaks to what breaks the heart of God? Nehemiah heard the problem. He heard about the lost. He heard they were in deep trouble. And the first thing he did was to pray and fast. He doesn't wear nice clothes. He wears sackcloth. Best thing I can tell you, how many of you know what an old potato sack is, or an old feed sack? Burlap, right? You pick it up, you work with them for a little while. I'm not talking about stuff you buy in the store. I'm talking about the stuff that just itches and scratching it. It's not, it's still got all the nasty stuff on it in it. Oh, you think, oh man, your arms itch and your face itches because there's just some dust that comes out. Cut a little hole in the top of that sack and arm holes, you put that on, you wear that. And then you sit down in the middle of the floor. You put ashes on your head because you're broken. And you weep. When was the last time you cried over a lost soul? Whether it's a child, parent, brother, sister. We do that. How about your neighbor next door that you know doesn't go to church? You ever cry for them? How about the waitress? It's always your waitress when you go into whatever already has no coffee. She slides it across the counter. She said, "How are you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?" Then the church now. Kenisha down at the back. Talked about her before. She loves me enough to smile every time I come in. She loves me enough to be honest with me and say, "Pastor, yeah, I know. I know. I hate my church." And that's sad in its own right, isn't it? But do you love the lost enough to weep? It breaks my heart when I talk to her. She's just radiant, wonderful young lady. Very tall. Little about baby's died. Just a little. See, Pastor, see the picture of the girl? I can't remember her name. Her little girl stayed home while her husband and son go to church because she just needs some church. Does your heart weep for the lost? That's the whole book of Nehemiah. All in all, half an hour. I mean, we could talk about the walls, we could talk about everything else. But when you read it from the very beginning, it's just skipped over. So much of scripture skipped over. It's amazing. People just read certain stories, just make it big or bad. Read Nehemiah. There's no excuse not to. I do it over here. You don't like to read it. Go back. Read it. When you read it all the way to the end, forget where else you're reading. Go back again and read it again and see how it applies to your life and our church. See, last week after our dinner, we didn't have evening church. We had church per se in the afternoon. And we decided that we care enough about our community to do a couple of things. We're going to put, we're in the, actually I forgot to take pictures this morning. I was going to take some pictures of some nice pictures of the young children in teen class. You know, last week I had them stabbing their teachers with spears and stuff. And being funny, but we need some serious pictures of them. But we're going to put some flyers together so that when you do this, see, there was something that made the place. Yes, we're going to do this. We will do this. As soon as we get a flyer, we're going to walk around the neighborhood, just our neighborhood. to send out invitations to a block party for people on my block. Come to my house, have the police come in and block off the road, they will do this kind of thing for you, have a block party. Pull out a couple of grills, do hamburgers, hot dogs, have people bring whatever. Get to know your neighbors. Do you care enough about their souls to find out who they are? We're going to get some of the yard signs. And you can buy a yard sign, I think. He said $5 is the average for one. That has, we attend the Church of Nazarene on both sides, or I'm not sure what they're going to put on it now. Jeff's in charge of that. That was really cool for me as a pastor because somebody else was doing these projects. That was one of the things. You can't put the project up there if the pastor has to do it. You guys have to do it. But that was the second thing, just to get our name out there, just so that people will know we even exist. You know what makes a pastor really sick? Is when a pastor goes to the bank or someplace like that, and they see your check or they see your name, and you sign your name, and you sign up Pastor Sweely. Who are you pastor at? The Church of Nazarene. Where's that? How long has the Church of Nazarene been on these grounds? Right here. Yeah, a long time. And people in Sulphur Springs do not even know that it's here. They don't know what it's about. Never heard of it. Do we? And it's not. Again, this is not a numbers drive. This is a soul drive.
Yeah.
I'm not selling you the chairs that need filled. I mean, it would be cool. It would be just, I'd be blessed out of my socks if this time next year we had 2 services. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Amen. Amen.
Oh.
Man.
Seriously. You see, if you don't care enough to think of something like that and get excited about it when I preach about it, if the best I can do is 2 or 3 people saying, amen, then I know you don't care about the people out there.
That's right. That's right.
You should be excited. You should be thrilled. You should say,
Man.
Pastor's cheerleading us on. All right, we're going to follow. Amen. I mean, we're going to start talking about it, and some of you are going to leave saying, what pastor beat us up today? I told you last week I don't care.
Man.
One of the problems in churches today is everybody gets caught.
Amen.
Everybody's saying, we're
That's
afraid
right.
to do this, and we're afraid of doing that. As a pastor, because, well, you'll get me out. Right. Pull me out. I told you guys last week, you got that on the sheet. But the reality of it is this: you've got to care about lost souls.
Man.
It can't be about us. I've preached for a long time. My buddy's back there looking at his daddy's watch. Well, come on, man. Do what you want.
That's right.
But Nehemiah was an incredible individual. He didn't have to go do what he did. I love the fact that he wasn't a pastor. He was a lady. He wasn't an evangelist. He hadn't been to Bible school. He was a lady. He had a full-time job. And he cared about people that he had never met. Stand with us, please, as we go to prayer and then as we sing. Lord, Father God, man, I see you this morning. Lord, we have to change our life and our lifestyles and our perception. Our perception of who you are, the perception of what we are supposed to do, the perception changes. Strengthen us. Lord Father God, we ask and pray that you will invest yourself in us as we invest ourselves in others. Sing with us, please, this morning.